The man with no appointment. Glass doors of the downtown bank slid open slowly that morning, letting in the sunlight and the man who would change everything. He wore a plain black hoodie, jeans, and sneakers that looked worn but clean. His hair was slightly messy, and his face half hidden behind dark glasses. He didn't walk with the swagger of a rich man. In fact, he looked more like someone who'd been walking for hours just to get here. Keanu Reeves stepped inside and paused. He glanced around the lobby. The floors were shiny, the chairs empty, and the digital display showed number 46. He had no number, no appointment. No one knew he was coming. A young receptionist behind the front desk looked up from her screen. She gave a small, forced smile. "Can I help you, sir?" Keanu nodded gently. "Yes, I'm here to meet with the branch manager. I have something to discuss with her." The receptionist's smile faded a little. She glanced at his clothes, then back at his face, still not realizing who he was. "Do you have an appointment?" "No," Keanu said calmly, "but it's important and personal." The receptionist hesitated. "She's very busy today. I can try asking." Keanu nodded again. "Thank you. I don't mind waiting." He sat in the corner. The lobby was quiet. Soft piano music played through hidden speakers. People walked in and out, most in business clothes, some in a hurry. Hours passed. Behind the frosted glass wall, the branch manager was giving a presentation to her team. She was sharp, strict, and had a reputation for not wasting time on walk-ins. Her name was Melanie Drake. She had worked her way up in the banking world and didn't believe in shortcuts. When the receptionist told her a man in a hoodie wanted to speak with her, Melanie didn't even look up. "Tell him to come back with an appointment." The receptionist returned to Keanu. "I'm sorry, she's not available right now, but you can wait if you like." Keanu nodded. "I'll wait." 1 hour passed. 2 hours. 3. By the 4th hour, even the security guard started to feel awkward. He walked over to Keanu and asked gently, "Are you sure you don't want to come back later?" Keanu smiled. "I'm okay." Meanwhile, Melanie walked past the lobby several times. Each time, she saw the same man sitting there. No phone, no book, just waiting. She frowned but didn't stop. To her, he was probably someone asking for a loan or trying to open an account without enough paperwork. But one of the junior associates, a woman named Clara, had been watching quietly. She leaned toward another colleague and whispered, "He looks like someone familiar." Her friend shrugged. "He's just another walk-in." But Clara couldn't shake the feeling. Finally, just before closing hours, a black SUV pulled up outside the bank. Out stepped 3 people in suits, wearing name tags that said head office. The board of regional directors. No one had told Melanie they were coming. She rushed to fix her jacket, barked orders at her team to organize files, and stepped out into the lobby with a big professional smile. "Welcome to our branch," she said brightly. But the directors didn't smile back. Instead, one of them looked past her, straight at the man sitting quietly in the corner. Keanu stood up. And in that moment, everyone froze. The lead director walked over to him. "Mr. Reeves," he said warmly, "thank you for waiting. I apologize for the delay." Melanie turned pale. She looked at Keanu again. Her eyes widened. The hoodie, the beard, the voice. She had seen him before, but only on screen. She stepped forward quickly. "Mr. Reeves, I didn't know you were." Keanu raised a hand gently. "It's okay." The directors turned to her. "Why wasn't he brought to your office when he arrived?" Melanie stuttered. I thought he was just a regular visitor." Keanu didn't show anger. He didn't raise his voice. He simply said, "I asked to speak to someone today about a donation. Something personal, something quiet." The director nodded. "We're honored to have you here. Would you like to come upstairs?" Keanu looked around at the stunned faces. Then he turned to Melanie. "Only if she joins us." And with that, the room shifted. The silence turned thick. The staff stared. The security guard lowered his head. Melanie swallowed hard, because what she didn't know was Keanu hadn't come to open an account. He had come to change someone's life. The story behind the Silent Heath elevator ride was quiet. Melanie Drake stood beside Keanu Reeves, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. The 3 regional directors stood behind them, saying nothing. The air was heavy, not with anger but with a quiet kind of discomfort that only comes when someone realizes they've misjudged a stranger. Keanu didn't say a word. He looked straight ahead, calm and steady. His presence wasn't loud, but it filled the space. When they reached the top floor, a sleek conference room waited. Glass walls, leather chairs, polished table. The directors gestured for Keanu to take a seat at the head. Melanie hesitated, unsure where to sit. "Please," Keanu said, looking at her, "sit beside me." She nodded quietly and took the seat. One of the directors cleared his throat. "Mr. Reeves, we're honored by your visit. We had no idea you were planning to stop by today." "I know," Keanu replied. "I didn't want it to be official. I just needed to feel something again. Something real." Melanie looked at him, puzzled. Keanu placed a folded piece of paper on the table. It was old, wrinkled at the edges, and looked like it had been read 1,000 times. "This is from a woman named Margaret," he said. "She passed away 6 weeks ago. She was a retired school teacher. She used to sit outside this very bank every Friday, rain or shine, feeding birds. You probably never noticed her. No one spoke." Keanu continued. "Years ago, when I was a teenager in Toronto, I had a rough day. I walked into a small bank branch to ask about cashing a tiny check. From my first job, the manager there, Margaret, was the only one who didn't treat me like I was wasting her time." She smiled. She explained everything with patience. "She told me, one day, you'll be the reason someone else keeps going." His voice dropped. "I never forgot that." Melanie looked stunned. Keanu unfolded the letter. "This is her final letter to me. She asked if I would honor her by helping someone at this bank, someone who needed a second chance. She didn't say who," she said. "You'll know. Just sit and wait. You'll feel it." The room went silent. Keanu looked straight at Melanie. "I waited for hours today. Most people ignored me. Some whispered. You walked by twice and didn't even ask if I was okay." Melanie looked down, her face turning red. "I'm not angry," Keanu said softly. "I'm just aware of how easy it is to miss people, even the ones sitting right in front of us." One of the directors spoke up. "We can pull staff records." Maybe she meant someone in the customer files. Keanu shook his head. It wasn't about customers. She meant someone on the inside. "Someone here." The directors looked at Melanie. So did Keanu. "I read your file last night," one director said slowly. "You're sharp, strict, efficient. But in the past 6 months, we've had multiple complaints about how you treat people, dismissing walk-ins, rushing older clients, refusing flexible hours for staff." Melanie's lips parted, but no words came out. Keanu leaned forward. "Have you forgotten what it feels like to wait?" The question didn't sound cruel. It sounded sincere. Melanie's single quotes S voice finally returned. "I was just doing my job. We deal with hundreds of people a day. I don't have time to sit with everyone who walks in without an appointment. But sometimes," Keanu said, "those are the ones who need us most." Her eyes welled with tears, not because she had been shamed, but because something inside her cracked open. "When did you stop looking people in the eye?" Keanu asked softly. "When did you start seeing strangers as numbers?" She didn't answer. She could in single quotes T. Keanu leaned back. "This isn't about me. I didn't come here to punish anyone. I came here to honor Margaret. She believed in people, even the ones no one noticed, even the ones who didn't seem to deserve a second chance." Melanie blinked rapidly. "You think I'm the one she meant?" Keanu smiled, not coldly, kindly. "I think you already know." She looked down, trembling. I used to be like that. When I started, I wanted to help people, really help them. But over time, the pressure, the rules, the numbers, I became something else." "You can become something new," he said. "Today, tomorrow, it's never too late." A long silence filled the room. Then one of the directors stood. "Mr. Reeves, with your permission, we'd like to offer something, not just in Margaret's name, but in honor of what you reminded us." Keanu nodded. "We'll be launching a new initiative, a monthly community day at all our branches. No appointments, no pressure, just listening, just presence." Keanu smiled. That's all she ever wanted. The meeting ended quietly. As everyone stood to leave, Melanie turned to him. "Thank you for not walking away." Keanu looked at her gently. "We've all been the person waiting, and we've all been the one who walked past. The important thing is what we choose next." That evening, as the sun set, Keanu sat outside the bank on a bench Margaret once used. He fed a few birds from a small paper bag. People walked by without noticing him, and that was okay. Because he wasn't there to be noticed. He was there to remember and to keep a promise. The woman behind the desk next morning, Melanie Drake, sat alone in her office. The blinds were closed. Her hands rested on the cold surface of her desk. Untouched papers scattered in front of her. Outside, the bank carried on like any other. Day-clicking heels, printer sounds, muffled phones, soft greetings. But inside her chest, everything felt unfamiliar. She had slept very little. Keanu's words replayed in her head all night. "Have you forgotten what it feels like to wait? When did you stop looking people in the eye?" Those questions didn't accuse her. They revealed her. For years, she had convinced herself she was being efficient, professional, strong. But deep down, she had been hiding, not from the world but from the soft parts of herself, the parts that once cared too much, the parts that used to write handwritten notes to new clients, the parts that remembered birthdays of the tellers, the parts that cried in her car when a customer lost their job. But slowly, after years of pressure, she had built a wall. And now, one man's quiet voice had torn a hole in it. A soft knock at her door pulled her out of her thoughts. It was Clara, the junior associate. "Ms. Drake," she said gently, "there's someone here to see you. No appointment." Melanie's first instinct was to say no, but she paused. "Who is it?" she asked. "An elderly man. Says his name is Mr. Nolan. He doesn't have much paperwork, just a note written by someone named Margaret." Melanie's eyes widened. "Send him in," she said. A moment later, a man in his 80s shuffled in slowly. He wore a clean brown coat, a wool cap, and held a cane in one hand. In the other, a small envelope. "Hello," he said, smiling kindly. "I hope I'm not troubling you." Melanie stood. "Not at all. Please sit." He sat gently and handed her the envelope. "This was written by Margaret. She told me to bring it when the time felt right." Melanie opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten note. "If you're reading this, then I'm gone. And that means Keanu showed up. He kept his promise. Thank him for me. But more importantly, help the ones who are still waiting. Like Mr. Nolan. He's been refused loans by 3 banks. He doesn't have much money, but he has a heart worth more than numbers." Melanie looked up, her eyes watery. "What brings you here today, Mr. Nolan?" she asked softly. He smiled. "I run a small bookstore. Been there 42 years. But it's getting hard. Rent went up. Customers went down. I tried everything. I'm just trying to keep it alive. It's not just a shop. It's where people come to remember things that matter." Melanie nodded slowly. "Do you have your financial documents?" He chuckled. "Some. They're not very good." Melanie took a deep breath. "You waited for hours, didn't you?" He nodded. "I saw that man. The actor. I didn't know who he was at first. But the way he waited, it reminded me of me. So I stayed." Melanie smiled gently. "Thank you for staying." She reviewed his papers. The numbers didn't look good. Under normal policy, the answer would be no, but something shifted inside her. She picked up the phone and called the regional director. Double quotes. "Hi, this is Melanie. Yes, I'd like to discuss a special case. No, not for high profits, for high purpose." The conversation took a while. It wasn't easy, but in the end, she got what she needed. She turned to Mr. Nolan. "We're going to restructure your loan," she said. "You'll keep the shop, and we'll help promote it with our local partners." His mouth fell open. "Are you serious?" Melanie nodded. "Yes, because some places are more than businesses. They're memories made of walls and stories." He wiped a tear from his eye. "Thank you. Thank you so much." As he left, Clara walked in again. "You look different," Clara said gently. "Maybe I am," Melanie whispered. 2 days later, she received a call from Keanu's assistant. "Mr. Reeves would like to invite you to a small event," she said. It's not public, just something personal. Melanie was hesitant. What kind of event? He's opening a literacy fund in Margaret's name. He'd like you to be there. He says you're part of the reason it's happening. Melanie froze. She thought for a moment, then replied, "Tell him I'll be there." The event was held in a small community center. No red carpet, no press, just a few chairs, tea and coffee, and a hand-painted sign that read, "The Margaret Fund, because everyone deserves to be heard." Keanu stood near the back, wearing his usual hoodie and jeans. He smiled when he saw Melanie. "You came," he said. "Of course," she replied. "Thank you for the invitation." He handed her a folder. Inside were grant applications, donations, the first bookstore being supported, Mr. Nolan's. "You changed something," he said. "Not just in the bank, in people." Melanie looked down. "You gave me the chance, and you made me remember who I was." Keanu nodded. "Then maybe now, you can help others remember too." She smiled, the kind of smile that comes from a weight being lifted. "I will," she said. As the evening ended, people sat in circles sharing stories. Melanie stayed for hours, no longer watching the clock, no longer thinking about numbers, just listening, truly listening. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time in years, she knew who she wanted to be. The man who questioned everything through weeks past. The downtown branch had begun to feel different. Melanie Drake, once known as the strict and cold manager, now walked the lobby each morning with a gentle smile and an open heart. She greeted people by name. She paused to ask real questions. When an elderly client spilled papers, she knelt down to help. When a nervous young man came in wearing a secondhand suit, she offered him tea and asked about his goals before even touching a form. Staff started calling her new Melanie behind her back, but not in a mocking way. They smiled when they said it. Clara even said it to her face once. Jokingly, Melanie just laughed. "Maybe I'm just remembering the old me." Outside the bank, word had spread. People from nearby neighborhoods began visiting more often, not because of ads, but because of something simple. They felt welcome. The Community Day pilot program Keanu had inspired was now a regular event. Once a month, the bank closed early. Chairs were brought in. Volunteers from local shelters, food banks, small businesses, and even artists were invited to share space. No transactions, just conversations. But not everyone was happy. In a tall office building uptown, a senior executive named Howard Stanton sat in his chair, flipping through a file with narrowed eyes. He had been watching Melanie shift through quarterly reports. Lower profits, longer client interactions, increased community engagement but less sales. He didn't believe in soft banking. He believed in numbers. Too many feelings, not enough funding, he muttered. He picked up the phone and called the regional director. "I'm going to the downtown branch," he said. "And this time, no one's warning them." He arrived. The next morning, unannounced, Melanie was in the middle of helping a single mother apply for a low-interest loan to open a daycare in her apartment complex. When Howard walked in, the staff noticed immediately. Suits like his didn't show up without notice. He didn't wait at the front desk. He walked straight to Melanie's office and knocked once before stepping in. She looked up, startled. "Mr. Stanton." "Yes," he said, looking around her office. "You've redecorated." The walls now had framed drawings from local children, inspirational quotes on small boards, even a photo of Mr. Nolan smiling in front of his bookstore. "I wanted the space to feel more human." She said, "Right." He replied flatly, "Walk with me." They walked the branch floor. He asked sharp questions. What happened to the quick check counters? Why are staff spending 20 minutes per client? Who approved the free coffee table in the lobby? Why is there a chalkboard outside that says, "You matter"? Melanie answered calmly, with honesty. "Because people come in scared sometimes, and if we can make them feel safe, we earn more than their money. We earn their trust." Howard stared at her. "You've changed." She nodded. "Yes, for the better." They walked back to her office. She offered him a seat. "I've been reviewing your numbers," he said. "Profits are down. Speed is down. Call times are longer. Our model depends on efficiency, Melanie, not empathy." She leaned forward. Our model was never built for people. It was built for transactions. I think it's time we rebuild." He raised an eyebrow. "Do you think you're above the system?" She shook her head. "No. I just think the system forgot why it existed in the first place." He looked unconvinced. "You were one of our sharpest minds," he said. "I still believe you are. But this kindness experiment, it's cute, but it won't last." Before she could respond, a voice interrupted from the doorway. "I think you're wrong about that." They both turned. Keanu Reeves stood there. No fanfare, no camera, just a gentle voice. "Mr. Stanton," he said politely, "I'm sorry to intrude." Howard blinked. "Mr. Reeves, were you?" Keanu walked in and handed him a folder. Inside are over 800 testimonials from this branch's community days. Single moms, veterans, students, retired teachers, small shop owners. They talk about how this bank helped them feel human again. Howard opened it. Page after page. Handwritten letters, printed emails, photos of families smiling inside the branch. Someone had even drawn a cartoon of Melanie with a cape, calling her the bank hero. Keanu turned to Melanie. "I came here today because I believe in what you're doing. But more importantly, they believe in it too." He turned to Howard. "This isn't an experiment," he said softly. "This is what banking should have always been." Howard stared at the folder. He didn't speak. Melanie added quietly, "You want results? I'll give you one. This branch has the highest client retention rate in the district, and our community outreach program has doubled our referrals. Not from ads, from people, from trust." Howard looked at her. Then at Keanu. Then back at the folder. After a long silence, he stood. "We'll revisit this in the next board meeting," he said. "But I'll admit, this is more than I expected." He nodded once and left the room. Melanie turned to Keanu, heart still pounding. "How did you know he was coming?" Keanu smiled. "I didn't. I was just coming to drop off the folder. Seems I arrived at the right time." She laughed softly, her shoulders relaxing. "You've done more than help this bank," she said. "You've reminded me of who I want to be." Keanu looked around the office. "Then it looks like Margaret's work continues." As he left the building, staff waved quietly. He didn't want attention. He never did. But his presence lingered like warm sunlight. Melanie sat at her desk. She looked at the drawings on her wall, the quote beside her computer, the photo of Mr. Nolan. And she smiled, because even in a world run by numbers, the quiet kindness of one man had taught her something numbers could never measure. The client who brought back the Stormonday morning began like any other. Soft jazz filled the lobby. Staff greeted clients with warm smiles. The scent of fresh coffee floated from the small community table near the entrance. Melanie Drake walked in carrying a box of new bookmarks, handwritten quotes from local children to give away with every opened account. Things felt peaceful. They felt right. Until a voice cracked through the calm. "I've been waiting 20 minutes. Everyone turned. A sharply dressed man in a navy blue suit stood at the front desk. His tone was loud, his expression impatient. The receptionist tried to calm him, but he waved her off. "Get the branch manager now." Melanie stepped forward immediately. "Good morning, sir. I'm Melanie Drake. How can I help you?" He looked her up and down, not hiding his judgment. "Are you the one in charge of this place?" She nodded gently. "Yes, I am." "Then maybe you can explain why your staff is moving at half speed." He snapped. "I've got 6 figures ready to move, and nobody here seems to understand urgency." Melanie kept her voice calm. "I apologize for the wait. Would you like to come to my office?" "Only if we're going to talk like professionals," he said sharply. "No cupcakes and colored chairs." "I came to do business." Melanie's smile tightened slightly. Of course, inside her office, the manmer, Bryant took a seat without being asked. He opened his laptop, pulled out files, and began rattling off numbers, rates, deadlines. Melanie listened. She took notes. She asked thoughtful questions. But with each one, Mr. Bryant's frustration grew. "You're not moving fast enough," he said. "And frankly, I've heard about the changes in this branch. All this human banking nonsense. Community days, feelings over figures. I'm not interested in that. I need a manager who makes things happen." Melanie paused. Mr. Bryant, she said carefully. We absolutely value efficiency here, but we also believe that people matter more than just what's on paper. He scoffed. I don't care how your staff feels. I care about performance. And right now, this place is bleeding professionalism. His words stung, not because they were true, but because once upon a time, she would have agreed with him. She looked down at the notes in her hand. Her own handwriting trembled slightly. Was she wrong? Was she too soft now? Had she lost the edge that made her one of the youngest branch managers in the company? Mr. Bryant pushed his folder forward. Here's the deal. You get this done my way, or I move my portfolio to another bank. She looked at the folder. It was a big account. Massive. It could increase the branch's quarterly numbers overnight. But it came with conditions. No leniency. No time for clients who couldn't meet minimums. No space for community day. Only pure, cold transactions. Melanie's mind raced. This account could silence critics like Howard Stanton. It could win her a bonus, maybe even a promotion. But at what cost? She stood. Slowly, Mr. Bryant, she said carefully, I appreciate your business, but this branch no longer operates that way. His eyebrows rose. Excuse me? We don't sacrifice dignity for dollars anymore, she said. We don't rush people out the door because their bank balance isn't impressive. We don't treat staff like machines, and we certainly don't change our entire culture for one client. He stared at her. So are you saying no to my offer? She nodded. Yes, respectfully. He stood up, gathering his things. You'll regret this, he said. She opened the door for him. Maybe, but I won't regret protecting the people who walk through these doors. As he stormed out, Melanie sank into her chair. Her heart was pounding, her palms sweaty. She had just turned down the largest account of her career. A knock on her door broke the tension. Clara peeked in. You okay? Melanie nodded. Just did something big. Good big or scary big? Both. Melanie whispered. Clara stepped inside and handed her a small envelope. This came for you. No return name. Melanie opened it slowly. Inside was a note, handwritten in simple pen. Every time you protect someone's dignity, you make the world softer. Margaret would be proud. Melanie smiled. Her eyes filled with tears. She didn't need cameras, or headlines, or a certificate on the wall. She just needed this feeling. This quiet knowing that she had chosen the right path. The next day, something unexpected happened. The bank's social media account, run by Clara, shared a short story about Nolan and the bookstore. It included a photo of him standing outside with a sign that said, Saved by kindness, within hours. It went viral. Local news picked it up. People flooded the comments. This is the kind of banking we need. Real stories, real heart. I'm switching to this branch. Clients started calling, asking for appointments, not for loans, but to volunteer at the next community day. Melanie sat at her desk, watching it unfold. She thought about the man in the navy suit, the folders, the threats, and then she thought about the quiet old teacher who once told a teenage boy, one day, you'll be the reason someone keeps going. Melanie knew she had chosen right, because now she was that reason. The room that stood still. 12 months later, a soft rain fell over the city. The kind of rain that makes the world quieter, more thoughtful. In the downtown branch of the bank, staff moved gently through their tasks, their smiles more genuine than forced. The branch had changed not just in tone, but in purpose. Melanie Drake stood at the window of her office, watching raindrops slide down the glass. Behind her, on the wall, hung a framed drawing of Margaret's bench, sketched by a local schoolchild. Beneath it were two simple words. She listened. The memory of everything that had happened still lingered in her chest. The walk-ins, the change in how she led, the moment she said no to Mr. Bryant, and the quiet note from Keanu. She didn't know what would come next, but she felt stronger, clearer. Then Clara rushed into the room, slightly out of breath. Melanie, she said, her voice full of surprise, you need to come downstairs. Now. Melanie followed her into the lobby. The entire staff had gathered, and at the door stood Keanu Reeves. He wasn't alone. Behind him stood a crowd of people, clients, community leaders, volunteers, and a few familiar faces from other branches. Melanie froze. What is this? She asked. Keanu stepped forward. Today is Margaret's birthday, he said softly. She would have been 78. Melanie swallowed hard. Keanu continued. We're here because something has happened. Something big. The board has approved a national program in her honor. Every branch in the country will now be required to hold quarterly human banking days focused only on presence, listening, and community support. There was a pause. Then applause. Real applause, not polite. Tears formed in Melanie's eyes. Keanu looked at her. This started because one person believed in another, he said. Margaret believed in me, and because of that, I found the strength to believe in people again. And you made sure her voice didn't fade. Melanie looked around at her staff. Many were wiping their eyes. Nolan was there too, holding a stack of books, smiling gently. Clara clapped the loudest. Keanu took out a small, folded letter. It was Margaret's original note, the one she had written to him so many years ago, the same one he had read quietly in that first meeting. He unfolded it. Double quotes. Keanu, if you're reading this, remember it's not the big acts that change the world. It's the small, unseen kindnesses that echo through time. And when someone truly listens, they become the answer someone else has been waiting for. He placed it on the reception desk, then turned to Melanie. There's one more thing, he said. I've partnered with the National Board to open something special, an annual award for the most community-driven branch manager in the country, and they voted unanimously. He pulled out a small plaque. Engraved on it, the Margaret Award for Compassionate Leadership 2025 recipient. Melanie Drac. The room erupted in cheers. Melanie shook her head slowly, overwhelmed. I don't deserve this, she whispered. Keanu stepped closer. You do, he said, because you didn't just change a branch. You changed how people feel when they walk through the door. He handed her the plaque. As she held it, something shifted inside her. Not pride, not fame, but peace. A deep, humbling peace that came from doing the right thing, even when no one was watching. Later that day, as the celebration ended, Melanie returned to her office. She looked at the photo of Margaret's bench again. Then she walked downstairs, out the door, into the light rain. She crossed the street and sat at the actual bench, the same one Margaret used to sit on. Beside her, Keanu joined in silence. No cameras, no speeches, just a people remembering a woman who once believed in the quiet power of being kind. After a few minutes, Keanu reached into his pocket and placed something between them. A small white rock, written in black ink. You matter. Melanie picked it up. Did Margaret write this? She asked. Keanu smiled. No, you did. Melanie looked down and realized it was from the chalkboard Clara had made, the one outside the bank. He had kept it all this time. You never know who's watching, he said gently, or who's waiting for someone to remind them they're still seen. They sat together for a while longer. No words needed. Just the sound of rain, the breath of the city, and the quiet heartbeat of a promise kept. Because when one person listens, truly listens, it can change the whole room, sometimes even the whole world.